What's the worst injury you think you could play through? I mean, honestly, this is. I don't know if it's as easy to answer. Maybe there's a trick question answer, like what's the biggest animal you could kill with your bare hands? And the answer is a beached blue whale, right? Although I've always wondered if that would actually be that feasible. I feel like even if a blue whale is beached, if that homie decided to just hit like a, like just like do that a little bit, he could probably knock me into next Tuesday, right? So and how do you? Is there like too much? Do you need with your bare hands? Like, what am I going to do? Choke it out? You know, get in some sort of Godzilla-sized rear naked choke on a blue whale, or just kind of sit there and pat it on the back, like, well, I guess you're dead because you're on a beach. Like at that point, do you get actual credit? Do you have to touch the whale to get credit for what's the biggest animal you could kill with your bare hands, or do you just wait? At that point, is that cruel? But is it even cruel? I don't think a blue whale's ever been beached. Why would a blue whale be anywhere near a beach? The thing's the size of a damn It's like the size of a building, right? There's so many questions that need to be asked about that stupid hypothetical, but that has always been my go-to answer. Now, for the best injury that I feel like I could play through, I would say a broken heart. I don't know, but I am in awe of this particular performance. And I've been wanting to talk about this particular player for a long time. I'm really sad that this is the reason that I'm talking about this particular player, because I feel like these sorts of stories are going to happen more and more, right? Because obviously the point of this video is a crazy ability to overcome an injury, and we're going to talk about that. But the more global football becomes, like it was always global, right? But the more global that it becomes in terms of clubs and different places that you can play, and you've got the Middle East, particularly Saudi Arabia, putting a ton of money in making, that a viable league. You've got South America that Brazil has been instituting more professional stuff. Argentina's at least trying, in my opinion, probably not doing the right stuff, but they're at least trying to overhaul their league and go in the right direction. The Copa Libertadores is getting the right kind of hype. And then you have MLS, which is obviously the league that is full of a ton of money, and despite the fact that it has the salary stuff, it has also acquired one Lionel Messi, right? And started to compete with Mexican teams for the CONCACAF championship. And Mexico's already been at this kind of very good but not great league level for a while. And then Japan has really exploded in the last 5 years or so in terms of the quality of its league. South Korea, if they can ever stop being corrupt, is figuring it out. Australia's got a solid league that is developing, right? I'm not overly optimistic about Australia's. I just felt like I needed to throw one more country in there. But you generally get the idea I'm trying to point out, that there is a larger number of leagues that can support high-end professional players of very good skill sets, if that's where they want to go. And one of the weirdest examples of this is a guy named Riqui Puig. Riquipuig, Riqui Puig. And he is a Barcelona Youth Academy product who was touted as a very high-level wonder kid. I know this because I make those wonder kid lists every year as somebody that makes YouTube videos about Football Manager on the main channel all the time. And Football Manager obviously has all of these wonder kids in the game that they scout up and they put in the game with a high potential ability. And Riqui Puig was one of those guys. One of the guys that if you were at Man City, PSG, Bayern, Dortmund, Inter, that you wanted, that you were going to sign, and he was going to start in your midfield for 10 years. But then Riqui Puig had a bit of an injury, right? And then all of a sudden, the biggest money offer that he's getting is a move from LA Galaxy. And he ends up going to LA Galaxy, and for people that live in Europe, Riqui Puig might have vanished. And you just never heard about him again, and you never thought about him again. But he didn't actually vanish. He's not just going to pop up on some Hungarian team playing in the Champions League. He's been one of the best players in MLS since he got here. He's been amazing. Actually, legitimately a young player that has been coming into the prime of his career, just being a superstar in MLS. And the equally amazing thing is that he's not really sought that move out. He didn't just have one breakthrough year and go, wow, I got to get back to Spain right away. There are absolutely clubs that would have taken him, right? I'm not overblowing this. That, if he wanted to go play for a mid-level team in the top flight, if he wanted to go play for Las Palmas or Rayo Vallecano, they would be happy to take him. Now, LA Galaxy would be able to charge an arm and a leg. I don't really know Riqui Puig's contract situation exactly, but he has proven himself in both the way that he has played and the way that he's carried himself off the field in terms of not forcing a transfer back to his home country of Spain or back to some other European league that he feels like holds a higher standard. He's proven himself to be one of the journeymen. And these people are going to become more and more common. And I think these people are really cool because Riqui Puig is good. Sure, he's one step below being on the Spanish national team, but he's nasty. I mean, he makes plays that are very impressive. He makes them consistently. He plays like a kid that came through the Barcelona Academy because he is a kid that came through the Barcelona Academy. And you see these sorts of guys like Gabriel Barbosa, right, where he went to Europe and just got homesick and it didn't work out instantly. And he's like, screw it, and goes back to Brazil. And he's just a star. And a lot of people know who he is, and he makes a ton of money and he doesn't care. And that's Riqui Puig is the king of LA soccer, right? Carlos Vela was doing this there as well. If you were wondering what happened to Carlos Vela, he was absolutely shredding it in LA too. But Riqui Puig is the number 10 for LA Galaxy. He's making a boatload of money. He's one of the exception players, getting paid a bucket, right? He's getting the LA lifestyle. He's getting the LA sponsorships, and he's just enjoying it. The best impression I've gotten of Riqui Puig in this entire process is he's really enjoying it. And I think you're going to see more of these guys instead of getting paid less, because he'd be getting paid less. Instead of getting paid less to play in these European leagues, just embracing the idea that you can go, instead of just being somebody that's kind of in the meat farm of the mid-table club in Spain, guy that you're going to show up, play 38 matches, not win any trophies, just be there. And you'd rather go be the star in Tokyo. You'd rather go be the star in Ulsan. You'd rather go be the star at Al Nassr, right? And you're not Ronaldo. I'm just talking about those sorts of things that you'd want to go do. Then depending on where you're going, you're getting paid well to extremely well. And you're getting that, if you ever wanted to experience the US, Japan, Australia, Brazil, I don't know, you're getting paid really well to do it. The economics of football are leveling out. And if you have top-level teams in Brazil and top-level teams in the US and in Mexico and in Japan that can afford to pay their players more than mid-level teams in Spain, mid-level teams in Italy for sure, right? Then players are going to want to go there. And once they go there, some of them, instead of using it as a platform to launch themselves into bigger contracts back in the best leagues in the world, I'm not going to put quotes around it because the best leagues in the world are in Europe. There's no debating that at all. No matter what happens at this dumb Club World Cup thing, I'm going to make a video about that'll probably come out after this one. So keep your eyes peeled. Drama. You can just go do that. Honestly, I feel like if I was a footballer, I'd want to go do that. I mean, hell, you want to be playing on a championship team, or would you rather be if you grew up with that championship team, fair enough, right? But would you rather be playing in a championship team or playing for a team battling relegation in the Bundesliga, or would you rather be a star? And you still got 30, 40,000 people watching you, and you're still making millions of dollars. You go be a star in the US, Mexico, Japan, Brazil, right? Because you can do it. And the economics are tilting even more and more in the direction where you're going to be able to do that more and more. And so I have quietly enjoyed the fact that Riqui Puig is doing this, that a wonder kid that came through the Barcelona Academy and got hurt and career kind of fell apart and couldn't get a lot of minutes, came over to the US and actually found it. He found all the sauce. He's just been great. And that is why LA Galaxy is in the MLS playoffs final. They're playing for the MLS Cup on Saturday. So if you didn't know, LA Galaxy against New York Red Bulls, two of the more old school teams in the league, are going up against each other for a title. LA Galaxy, traditionally one of, if not the biggest club in the US, against the New York Red Bulls team that's been kind of the runt of the litter a lot and has never won an MLS Cup title despite being in MLS for a long time. New Jersey's team, as it were. And they're not supposed to be in the final. LA Galaxy is. They were one of the top two seeds in the West, so Galaxy will be the favorites. But there is a problem for LA Galaxy, and that's the problem that we initially came here to talk about before I went on a rambling, that's kind of the point of the channel. Hi, nice to meet you. I'm Zealandism. They're going to be playing that match without Riqui Puig. Because Riqui Puig in the conference semifinal, which was a match against Seattle Sounders, the conference final, not the semifinal of the whole tournament, the championship of the western half of the United States, LA Galaxy against Seattle Sounders, who are, of course, going to the Club World Cup that I mentioned I'd talk about. And it was 1-0 on an 85th minute goal from Dejan Joveljic. And that goal was assisted by Riqui Puig. And you might be wondering how Riqui Puig was able to do that with a torn ACL, because Riqui Puig tore his ACL in this game. And if you're thinking that, you're not just going, oh, well, Riqui Puig tore his ACL after. Riqui Puig tore his ACL 25 minutes before that goal. Riqui Puig tore his ACL, we believe, nobody knows for sure, in like the 59th minute of the game. The only thing that is like, they made the statement basically that Riqui Puig sustained an injury in the second half and played over 30 minutes. This is the LA Galaxy official statement. Played over 30 minutes despite his injury, providing the assist to Dejan Jovalijevic. This is an interview from Herculez Gomez, who is a mutual of mine on Twitter, former U.S. national team player, does like a podcast. He's talking to a guy named Marky Delgado, who plays for LA Galaxy, about what Marky Delgado was seeing when, after Riqui Puig has been tackled, just to give you an idea of what was happening.
Riqui Puig, he did his ACL, tore his ACL. From what you know, was Riqui really playing with a torn ACL? What's the situation here?
I noticed something after he got tackled, I believe in the 59th minute. A few minutes later, I think he tried to defend someone or try to reach for a ball, and I think his knee or his leg just kind of gave out. He kept getting back up, and he kept, kind of like stretching it out. I'm just like, something's up, but he's still moving. So adrenaline was definitely 100% a factor to keep him going. And I can't believe that he played 30 plus minutes still and got in the game winning assist.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, you hear the teammate talking about it, where even his teammates are looking over there like, bro, did his knee just give out? Like, I swear, Riqui, did your knee just fold like a lawn chair? And I'm not a doctor, but I have torn my ACL before. I was throwing down a sick crossover in a fraternity league basketball game in college, and my knee didn't get the memo and went the wrong way. So as somebody that has torn my ACL before, this is way more possible than you would think. Okay. The ACL is like the spine. So this is your knee. Like, this is the front of your knee. Your ACL is basically the spine that kind of holds the two parts of your leg in alignment. So when that ACL is gone, your knee feels like jello, but you can walk on it. It's not like something that, it affects your ability to change direction, which is obviously a massive fucking deal when you're playing soccer, right? Like, it is a huge deal if you can't change direction. It's a massive problem. But they actually do ask you, especially if you're not a professional athlete like me, you go in and they're like, do you want us to repair this? Because you can not. Like when a caveman tore his ACL, it wasn't like, well, prayers up for my boy Grok because he's down. He's going to die. Let's just feed him to the wolves now. No, you can live. John Elway, the quarterback in the NFL, if you follow NFL or know any NFL lore, Super Bowl winning quarterback, played 18 seasons or something, won a couple of Super Bowls, big time guy. He only had one ACL. It is possible for your knee to restabilize. It will never be quite as strong, obviously. But it is possible for your knee to restabilize, the muscles to kind of grow in, whatever, and your knee to be able to be stable. And there are honestly probably a lot of people out there that are missing ACLs that don't know it because they hurt their knee doing something stupid like standing up off the toilet or off the couch or something, which I have heard of people tearing their ACLs doing both of those things, by the way, because when you tear your ACL, you just happen to hear other people's stories about it. And they, didn't necessarily know that it had been torn because while it is a catastrophic injury that's very difficult to repair, it's not something that you notice massively other than, oh yeah, that's my bad knee, right? So Riqui Puig tears his ACL and then plays the match. And here are some clips of actual stuff. You saw this one where he makes a pass and just kind of shakes his knee out, right? Well, there's a couple of other clips. Like, this is insane to me because I got my ACL torn. I did my ACL, as a British person would say. And I had the surgery 3 weeks later. So that means I'm living 3 weeks without an ACL. I also tore my meniscus. And even with that, I was walking in 3 days. I used to give tours at the University of Virginia where I went to school when I was in school there, part of the guide service. And I gave multiple tours without an ACL. And that's just walking around the entire campus. But I do vividly remember on one of the tours, I tripped. Not, fell on my face trip, just, you hit something with your foot and kind of catch yourself. And I felt my knee go like this. Felt it. Like a stretch string. And I was like, damn, something's wrong. Then I also have a vivid memory of getting out of bed. because you forget. You forget you've hurt your knee. And for most of this time you're waiting for the surgery, you know it doesn't have an ACL in it. And but it feels so normal sometimes walking around that you forget it's messed up. I remember I made a beer pong shot and jumped up in the air, and then I landed and I was like, oh, stupid. And I remember getting out of bed, right? And your legs are like this. And I swung my legs out of bed, and I shit you not, I watched and felt my leg like swinging out of bed, and we were swinging this direction. My left knee went like, and I'm not talking it was bending the right way. I'm talking this is my knee, and it bent like that way, sideways. And I watched the bottom of my leg just go like that. And I was like, oh. Which is why it makes it amazing that Riqui Puig was doing stuff like this. He was planting on it, but you can kind of see the way he kicks the ball, how he shifts his weight, because he knows his left knee is messed up. And there were a couple of other plays where you're just like, it is amazing that he was doing this without an ACL. And if you watch the highlights, it's very clear he's not moving a lot. And he's basically just being ginger with, he's very gingerly handling his left leg. Here's another play. This is the actual goal. Another play. This is the assist. And he's playing basically an enganche from Football Manager. He just is standing right there, takes the touch, barely moves, lays it off, just hobbles in behind the play. But that's the goal. I commend his determination, because a lot of players would have either recognized what was happening, and maybe he did recognize what was happening and gone down. But in the playoffs, in the semifinal of the MLS Cup and the championship of the Western Conference, he stayed in. And it's one thing to stay in. It's another thing to make a massive difference while being limited, and then recognizing how you're limited and then identifying different things that you can do to try and overcome that. He did all of those things. It was an absolutely amazing performance from Riqui Puig, the legend of whom grows daily in MLS circles, and now he's the guy that played 30 minutes in a semifinal at a Western Conference championship and produced the match-winning assist. And I wish him a speedy recovery, because, boy, it sucks. It really sucks.